I met my wife on Tinder. So when I tell people I'm building a dating app because I think the current one is broken, the first thing they say is, but didn't Tinder work for you? Well, yes it did, but not for the reasons you'd think. The 9 dates before her, that's where the real story is. It was 2017. I was living in Singapore, working full-time, running my own business on the side, and studying part-time. I just got out of a 3.5 year long relationship where I thought she was going to be the one.
Hi guys, if you're finding this helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Now, let's get back to it.
My professional life was full, but my personal life was empty. So I did what anyone did back then and got on Tinder. And I went on dates, 10 of them in total. Some people I met looked amazing on their profiles, great photos, well-written bios. We'd match and end up having long conversations on the app. And I think, okay, this one might be different. And then I meet them in person. Anyone who's been on a first date knows that feeling. A mix of nervousness and excitement at the same time. That anticipation as you walk in and scan the room. But every single time I spotted the person I'd been talking to, that excitement just disappeared. What replaced it was just disappointment. Because the person sitting there was never quite the person I'd been speaking to. Photos that were clearly years old or heavily edited. Perfect English on chat, but barely able to hold a conversation in person. Incredible chemistry through a screen, but absolutely nothing when sitting across from me. 9 times, 9 versions of the same disappointment. Not because these were bad people, but because the profiles were never really them. It was a version of themselves they wanted the world to see. And I was showing up to meet that version, not the real one. By the time the 10th date came around, I was exhausted, done with the performance of it all. We matched on Tinder, we spoke for I think about a week, and then we met at a burger joint in Singapore called Fat Boys. I decided just before getting there that I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to spend another date figuring out if this person was going to be the right fit for me. Instead, I decided to be brutally honest. So I just told her everything. I told her I wanted something serious that would lead to marriage eventually. I told her I was planning to leave Singapore, just that I didn't know where yet. I told her I was ambitious, that I was always working to try and build something, and that wasn't going to change. I told her that I had just come out of a long relationship. I told her that my family, my mother specifically, was the most important person in the world, and that she would always have a share of my time and attention just as my partner would. I told her that I wanted an equal partner, someone who complimented me the way I would compliment them, someone who was part of the journey, not just along for the ride, someone who could challenge me as I would them. Let me put this into perspective. First date, burger joint, and I laid it all out on the table. She agreed to a second date, and by the third, I knew she was different. Not because the app matched us or because our profiles were compatible, but because when I showed up as exactly as who I was, she didn't flinch. Instead, she showed up the same way. That's what cut through, not the algorithm, just radical honesty. Here's the thing, I got lucky. Most people can't walk into a first date and say all of that. The apps aren't built for it. The culture around dating isn't built for it. You're expected to perform, to present your best self, to let things unfold slowly while both of you figure out if the other person is actually who they say they are. And that process is exhausting. And for most people, it doesn't end the way it ended for me. That 1 in 10 success rate isn't something to celebrate, it's something to fix. And I thought maybe I'm the one to do it. I'm not building something new because Tinder failed me. I'm building something new because I got lucky and most people don't. I want that to change. I want to build something that creates the conditions for honesty from the start. so you don't have to be exhausted and fed up before you're finally willing to just tell the truth. That's what I'm working on. And if that's something you have been waiting for, the link's in the description. See you in the next one.